us and organizing this EPC. Look, I really believe that when we speak about strategic autonomy, it was perfectly phrased by Mark in his speech with the list of sectors when we speak about strategic autonomy. It's not just dealing with defense and security and energy, but these components are critical, and food. But now we have to speak about space, we have to speak about semiconductors and so on, because it's impossible to have a sustainable strategic autonomy on defense if you are 100% dependent when you speak about semiconductors to some other countries. So we clearly see, given the integration of our global economy and our innovation system, that building and strengthening our strategic autonomy requires much more focus on these key pillars where we have over-dependencies. And we experienced the cost of over-dependencies during the past few years. In COVID time, when we spoke about masks and some medical devices, the Russian war against Ukraine revealed our over-dependencies regarding gas and Russian gas. We are experiencing the cost of our over-dependencies when we speak about the American umbrella in terms of defense and security. Let's be honest, this is the elephant in the room. But if Mark is here as well, this is because he feels more close to the Europeans, and because we are all together and we consider we have to be more united, because there is a sort of a doubt or a question mark when we speak about the fact that no doubt about the American solidarity on all these fields. And we will probably experience the cost of our over-dependencies vis-à-vis China, no doubt. So the big issue we have is that we have a lot of, beyond the wars and beyond the crisis, we have a big de-risking strategy to deliver, which will request much more investment and coordination amongst the Europeans. And let's be clear, it needs more solidarity, more investment, better organization, in order to better integrate our value chain together and de-risk our value chains from the main geopolitical risks we identify. Which means sometimes deciding to relocalize some productions amongst all of us, diversifying our partnerships in order to de-risk the over-dependencies. But this is the approach we will have to complete in the years to come. And one of the main risks we have is an acceleration of the confrontation, especially between China and US, which could reveal much more rapidly some of these dependencies and put us in a corner. Having said that, I think we have a series of, I would say, assets probably we underestimate, which are the main links we have beyond geography. But I really believe that believing in the democracy, rule-based order, respect of an open trade and free trade, believing in climate change through innovation and reasonable approach, creates a lot of links amongst us, and our predictability in order to deliver this agenda is a big advantage vis-à-vis a lot of non-European players. When I look at the Gulf, when I look at Asian countries, when I look at Latin America or Africa, they just want to have predictable partners. They can disagree with us. Sometimes our interests will not be aligned. But as long as we deliver our agenda being predictable, it makes sense. If we go to Hormuz Strait, I think we have a very important role to play. A lot of us were around this VTC we co-organized with Kier, and Georgia was with us in Paris with Friedrich. And we had a lot of Asian countries, a lot of African countries and Gulf countries. And it was very impressive to see that everybody was aligned. And I think the role we can play is precisely, obviously we are trusted by the US, but we are respected and trusted by the Iranian. We are not naive vis-à-vis the Iranian, but we are not at war with them, which creates a context where we can be this all together. We can provide, I would say, services from diplomatic, military, and economic and financial side in order to facilitate a free reopening of Hormuz Strait. And this is exactly the strategy we are preparing. The planification work was made last week in London. So now we are in a situation clearly to facilitate such a reopening, which puts us in this situation to be this reliable partner and to open this free roads. So this is, I really believe, one of the assets we have. But beyond that, I really believe that our interest is to decrease the tensions in a lot of situations, to remain coordinated and full solidarity. Ukraine is by far the hottest topic, but to work all together on this agenda of strategic autonomy. And by the way, I think the work made during the past few years by Nicole on Armenia is very impressive. Let's be honest. I mean, 8 years ago, nobody would come here, and the fact that you have so many first visits in your country is a good signal, because 8 years ago, this country was seen by a lot of countries around the table as a sort of de facto satellite of Russia. Nicole organized this Velvet Revolution and decided to de-risk his country from Russia. And he's still attacked on a daily basis because of that. And the fact that he decided both peace and Europe is a very strong signal. And the resistance war in Ukraine, the Armenian strategy, what is done in Moldova, plus what is done by a lot of countries around the table, is as well the fact that as Europeans, we decided during the past few years to have a collective wake-up call and not to be dependent on any big power. And this is as well one of the preconditions of this strategic autonomy.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel. I keep the word predictable partners in this unpredictable world. Here, under your leadership, we see that the UK is taking a very active role on all issues.